Welcome to this session on using a series function call to generate a list. So in this session, we're going to use the series function to generate a list of floor elevations for our guest room floors to help define the planes that we've already placed. So there are a number of functions available in GC. Functions perform some predefined process on an input and then return a result. So to view a list of available functions in GC, you can go to the Model tab and select the Functions. This will open the Functions dialog with a list of various functions. Now I'm going to change my view to a line item view, and this gives a purpose or a description of the function as well. And you can scroll through there and see the various functions. We're going to use a series function, so I'm going to scroll down and take a look at that series function. And we can see down here, it creates a list from a given start number, a final number, and an increment. So it's going to create a list, that's the output, and the inputs it needs are a start number, a final number or a limit, and then an increment. So I'm going to take this functions dialog and I'm actually going to dock it here along with my transactions and node types. And so once I select the function I want, I can actually apply that to a new function call node. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and it puts that new node on my graph. And you can see it has a couple of inputs. It has that start value, the limit value, and if we open this up, there is also an increment, which I'm going to pin to the node there. And this function we're defining here is actually going to give us a list of our guest room floor elevations. So I'm actually going to rename this to guest room floor elevations. So we need to start these floor elevations just above our lobby floor. So we could define a height for that here, and then we would need the overall height of the building. I could actually go ahead and link that one up. And then we have an increment, and our increment would be the floor-to-floor height that we want to use for our guest room floors. So this might be a nice place to insert some additional sliders so that we have some flexibility in our model. So I'm going to go back to the node types, and I'm going to add a slider node to the graph. Slide these down here a little bit. So the first one I'm going to add is the lobby height, so that if the lobby height changes, we can put that in as our start input here, and it's going to then adjust all the floors above that. Double click and we'll go and edit that. I'm going to set our maximum value here to 25 feet or 7.5 meters. I'm going to set the minimum value to 9 feet or 2.75 meters. And I'll set my default value right now to 20 feet. Now set the resolution to 1 foot, and we'll snap 2 ticks and set that to 1 foot as well. Then I'm just going to take that lobby height node and copy, paste another one on the graph. And I'm simply going to rename this as the GR height or the guest room height. And we can keep all the same properties, but maybe I want to adjust the default value a little down to 12 feet. Now I'm going to link those back into my series node. So I'm going to take the lobby height and I'm going to make that my start elevation. You can see immediately it's generating that list because we've already set the limit to the full height of the building. And by default, the increment is 1, but instead I'm going to come here and link that to the guest room height. So that resets our increment value, and you can see now we have a list that starts at 20 feet, that's our lobby height, and then 32, 44, it's incrementing at 12 feet. And if I were to adjust one of these sliders, it would adjust all those values. And now that I have that list, I can link that back to the plane floor nodes where we had the distance from input. Previously, we had put in a list of values. We simply typed in the list. Now we've got a function that's generating the list for us. I'm going to link that up. And you can see now, you can see those floor planes in there are going the full height of the building. and they're controlled by our sliders here. So for instance, if I increase the guest room height, switch that to 14, it's going to switch that to 15 and adjust all the floors of the building. And likewise, if I were to change the overall height of the building, it would add some additional floors. So let me go to the control panel here, and we're going to reset our building. I'm going to put a hold on there. So I could now make adjustments. Perhaps we want 10 feet floor to floor on our guest room heights, and we'll change this overall height maybe down to 185. I'll set the lobby height at 25, and we can apply all those changes and it adjust all our floor plates. So I'm going to go back to the Transactions tab and record the latest settings. And we'll go back to our graph, and in the next module we'll take a look at how to rearrange the nodes on the graph to keep a neat and orderly graph.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more such series, consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and see you next time.